Hi everyone, again, Frank DiMora here. Today's September the 5th, 2013. Connecting the dots between Bible prophecy and current events and what's happening. Specifically, I want to talk about what's going on in Syria that is very alarming. Now, what I'd like to do is go over to I'm just going to center on one article, and you'll see why. And this article is called The Muslim Brotherhood in Syria, Sharia or Death. Now, for those of you who may not know what Sharia is, this is the Islamic law that Al-Qaeda and these terrorist groups, these right-winged Islamists, are forcing people to Sharia law, Islamic law. And if you don't abide by this law, you will die, essentially. So what I'd like to do is bring you right over to this article. As you see right here, it says, now this article came out September the 4th, yesterday. It says this: armed gunmen claiming to belong to Egypt's Muslim Brotherhood gave a glimpse of their growing strength in Syria when they threatened 30 Kurdish fighters they took hostage last month with death if they didn't accept Sharia law and the Brotherhood's interpretation of Islam, a recently uploaded YouTube video showed. Now at my site, I'm going to have the link there so you can go right to watch the video. Obviously it is not in English, it's in the Egyptian dialect, so you won't be able to understand it. They just show you this video. It says, while the Obama administration waits for Congress to vote on whether military action should be taken in Syria, concern is growing among some lawmakers that the Middle East analysts that worry a limited U.S. strike in Syria would benefit terrorist groups like that of Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, if you don't know, you need to know what side Barack Obama is on in this case, because Barack Obama, with the backing, whether he's trying to get, of the United States, is actually supporting Al-Qaeda in those groups that we see that are fighting against the government in Egypt, the radicals who are trying to impose not only in Egypt Sharia law, but now here you see that they're trying to do the same thing to Syria. Bashar al-Assad is one of the people, Muslims, who is trying to keep out the strict Sharia law. So if you see that Sharia law is established and Bashar al-Assad is taken out, then the next step, my friends, would be in the region. They're starting to look at Israel. One nation after another is falling to the Islamic extremists. Now, in the Iraq war, the United States went in there, they fought and they got out. And what I said would happen in Iraq when the United States left is actually taking place right now. That Al-Qaeda is starting to move back in. We're starting to see more deaths and more destruction in Iraq, and the influence of the Islamic extremists are moving back in again. We're seeing it in Iraq, we're seeing it in Egypt, and now it's definitely going on in Syria, and the United States is backing those people that we have been fighting in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and now supposed to be fighting in Syria. But the United States is with the Al-Qaeda, the rebels fighting to oust Bashar al-Assad, Syria's president. And when you do this, you become on the opposite side of what the Bible says. Anyone who blesses Israel will be blessed, and anybody who curses Israel will be cursed. Because we know that the intention of these people, the Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda, is not just to take out Syria, but they already said, and you can Google this, that once they get rid of Bashar al-Assad, they are going to go after Israel. So we can see the Psalm 83 war. If you don't know about it, you might want to read it in the Old Testament, because Syria is involved in attacking. Now Syria, and what I mean is attacking Israel. So if Syria is overtaken by this extreme group, the Al-Qaeda group, that the United States seems to want to back. Doesn't make any sense, but that's what he's doing. So if Syria falls, the next step would be Israel, and Israel will not tolerate Islamic extremists on their borders and the threat to their nation, because this is the call of the Muslim Brotherhood, the call of groups like Al-Qaeda, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Fatah to destroy Israel. And of course, this is essentially what Psalm 83 tells us. Now, the video originally posted by the non-governmental watchdog Syrian Observatory for Human Rights shows 30 members of the Syrian PKK, also known as the Kurdish Workers' Party, being held hostage by armed gunmen. Now, the group of PKK members is seen sitting on the Persian rugged floor of an empty room while a member of the Muslim Brotherhood fighters tells them that they must practice the real Islam and follow Sharia law or face the consequences. Now, the consequences that they're talking about is killing them. And most of the people that they kill are beheaded. Now it says the men identified themselves as members of the Muslim Brotherhood, and they spoke in a dialect of the classic Arabic which an Egyptian sent. An Arabic translator who viewed the video told the Blaze. Strangely enough, the Kurdish rebels were forced to sign a contract that were told that they prayed with the Muslim Brotherhood, turned over all their weapons, and refrained from fighting for a full year, they would not be harmed. If you don't do this, you know the consequences, warned the man with the strong Egyptian accent. The Kurdish men sat quietly listening. Now, under Assad, the Muslim Brotherhood was banned by the uprising in 2011. Opened a door that had been closed for nearly 30 years. Now, some analysts suggest that the Muslim Brotherhood is strongest fighting force against Assad in Syria, and that the group is providing assistance to various rebel militant units fighting in the region. Now, the danger in Syria is what happens next, said the U.S. official who works in the Middle East. Do we really believe the Muslim Brotherhood members who are already threatening the Syrian people will just leave when Assad is gone? Or that Al-Qaeda will? No, they won't. We'll just be dealing with this new set of bad guys. And it doesn't say anything about where they're going to go, but let me tell you where they're going to go, because they already stated it. They would go to hit Israel. Now, for those of you who don't believe what I'm saying about the rebels attacking Israel, let me go to that article. This is the article, or one of the articles, that I was talking about. You'll see this is the update of September 5th, but the article was written some time ago on March 11th, 2013. And you see that this is the source where I'm getting it from. The Syria rebels vow to liberate the Golan Heights after Assad falls. Now, these are the people that Barack Obama is supporting. An online video, Syrian rebels operating near the Israeli border criticize the Assad regime for not fighting Israel in recent decades. Israel. The sublimation of Syria is a great concern, Red Cross told Israel. Now let me go down here a little bit. It says the Syrian rebels operating in the region near the border with Israel threatened on Sunday to fight to regain the Golan Heights from Israel following the toppling of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Just like I told you, just like I said to you before, that this was the plan by the rebels once they crushed the Syrian regime. Now, in a video published online, a rebel fighter filmed against the backdrop of the Golan Heights said, "We are in the occupied Golan Heights, which is the traitor Hafez Assad sold to Israel 40 years ago. These lands are blessed, and our despicable Assad's family promised to liberate them." But for 40 years, the Syrian army did not fire a single bullet. We will open a military campaign against Israel. What else do you need? They've said it before, and their plans are still into effect. And this is why one of the main reasons why they want to get rid of Bashar al-Assad. If they can control the region, they'll have solidified a large portion of the Middle East to come against Israel in that Psalm 83 campaign. Now, the Syrian rebels don't understand this, but that's what they will be doing, going down to fulfill Psalm 83. Now, we will fire bullets that Assad did not, and we will liberate the Golan. The Israeli-Syria border has been mostly quiet since 1974. And then when you go to my website, I'll have this video. This is the video that they're yelling and proclaiming that they're going to attack Israel once Assad is eliminated. So, what happens in the region is very, very critical. And of course, the United States is on the wrong side. And here we have Barack Obama trying to solidify the backing of these political leaders in the United States to go in and do airstrikes, which really won't do much because you're going to still leave these people intact. These Islamic extremists will not stop for anything. They will keep coming. They will keep coming until they get their way. Now, unfortunately, this is what's going to happen because the United States isn't going to be able to take care of this. And either is Russia or either is China or anybody else around the world. They're not going to be able to take care of the current problem or problems that we're seeing in the Middle East, because all of these problems, like what's happening in Libya, what's happening in Egypt, what's happening in Syria, all of these things are in the process to end, by the end of the day, to fulfill Psalm 83. So by thinking that you're going to throw in missiles and airstrikes for 48 hours or no less than 30 days, as the plan of Barack Obama has been laid out for us, that it's really not going to do anything. And what will happen, that when the United States pulls out and the Syrian government is falling into the hands of the Sharia law people, they're going to go after Israel. Israel will not tolerate it. Israel will strike. And when they strike, you have a regional war, no doubt, that will end up in the Psalm 83 war. Then the problem will be taken care of because the enemies that border Israel, that God showed us, will be eliminated. So, what we need to do as Christians, always pray for peace. But when we read the scriptures, we already know the outcome of it. And the outcome of it is what? Here's the outcome. Psalm 83. Syria plays a major role. Syria loses the power. And even if they don't lose the power, Bashar al-Assad is still an enemy, and he wants land that was lost. So either way that it goes, Syria is going to be involved in this. But if the rebels, they do not give up and force people into Sharia law or die, then all of these nations, when Israel sees that they are attacked by these radical Islamists, they're going to strike out, as I said, and all of these nations will join in with them, thinking that they're going to waste Israel, eliminate them. It's not going to happen. And then all that's going to happen is some time will pass. Israel is going to take more land. And when you read in the book of Genesis, land that was promised to Abraham has not fully been given to Israel. That will be coming in the near future. And when Psalm 83 war is over, the allies of these nations, as I said yesterday and last week, are going to unite, taking revenge of the lost war, of the Psalm 83 war against Israel. Russia will lead the war, and there you have Iran, who, by the way, as I said yesterday, all of these nations are proxy nations of Iran. Right? So you'll have these nations coming against Israel trying to do what Psalm 83 war failed to do, and that was to eliminate Israel. That's what the psalm tells us. They're going down thinking that they're going to wipe Israel out. So watch what's going on, specifically what's going on in Syria now, because Egypt's already in turmoil, and Syria was next to go. And so it's very important to understand what the Lord has already revealed to us. What we need to do is pray for the innocent people who've been caught in the gunfire and who just want to live out their lives, but you have these extremist elements who are trying to force their religion on these people. A forced religion. Now think about this in closing. Barack Obama is supporting a group of people, this Al-Qaeda Muslim Brotherhood group, that is forcing Islamic Sharia law on innocent people who do not want it. This is a man who's supposed to stand up for freedom, freedom of religion. But in this case, you see where his allegiance lies, and it lies with the Muslims, and the extremist Muslims at that. And all I can say to the President of the United States, who is supposed to be the President of the free world, what in the hell are you doing supporting a group who's taking freedoms away from innocent people? I'd like you to answer that question. God help us all. God help us all, because we see that the end times are already upon us, and that the major prophecies that haven't been fulfilled yet will be fulfilled. And by the evidence of the current events, we see that it's coming as a runaway steam engine on a one-way track. And it's going to hit, and that collision will be Psalm 83. And my friends, it's coming at a time when Israel and the Arabs were calling for peace and safety, just like Paul said in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. God help us all. Today would be a good day to receive Jesus, because we're going to need everything that he has for us. His peace, his love, his compassion, and to pray for our enemies. Unlike the radical Islamists who will cut your head off or kill you in another way if you do not follow their religion.